Wellness is important in our daily lives, so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have by regular checkup. People don't know they have hypertension. They don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Top of the hour on Sunday Express, the second day of March 2025. I'm Regina Manyara. Now let's bring you up to speed. Let's have a look at the highlights. A predator in church? Chaos erupts at a Ruto church over pastor's alleged misconduct. Embracing diversity. We bring you the story of a little-known village turning into a cultural and linguistic hub. And making lemonade from lemons. In the last part of our feature, securing the North Rift, tell the tale of a people who refuse to give up despite the years of insecurity due to banditry. Good evening once again. If you're just tuning in, you're just in time for comprehensive news coverage right here on Sunday Express. I'm Regina Manyara, and my colleague in sign language is none other than Byron Abuli. Later on, we're going to be looking at gender-based violence, now with a different shift and focus on the criminal justice system. Is it aiding and abating the perpetrators, or is it out there to stem this vice? We'll get there, and we want your feedback. Get us on KBC Channel 1 on X. Now, chaos erupted at a Christ Impact Church in Ruto after an angry mob stormed into the church premise, accusing the church leader of sexual misconduct. The disruption forced congregants to flee as the protesters vandalized the church, hurled stones, with others making away with church property. The incident followed accusations that emerged online accusing the Ruto-based church pastor of sexual assault.
Tukapatana na yeye Westlands. Me from that day up to today, siwezi kuambia what happened because tulikaa kwa gari yake. Ingine nilikuwa najisikia nikiwa, hiyo time nilikuwa naishi Isili. Hii operation imeniharibu sana because it is very painful. Wale pastors, bishops wenye wanatake advantage ya washirika. Sijui vile nafaa kufanya ama kusema, but we are told that pastors should not speak out, but instead of committing suicide, mimi nimesema niseme mtu anijudge.
Wakati mtoto wangu alikuwa analala kwa hiyo church, ile ya kwanza kabla haijabomolewa, alikuwa analala hapo kama watchman na kijana mwingine. He told me about the dreams of sodomy that he's just encountering when he sleeps in the church. And he told me, sitarudi kurara kwa hiyo kanisa, mimi siamini kutoka siku ya leo.
After this video surfaced online this week, Kenyans both online and offline are reacting to the allegations and making known their disapproval of the misconduct of the Christ Impact Church Pastor Peter K. Barangu. Earlier today, an angry crowd invaded the Ruto-based church. But what started as a protest over the alleged sexual misconduct of the church pastor quickly degenerated into what appeared to be a looting spree. The angry group vandalizing the church pulled down banners as a sign of their anger with the church leader. Both the congregants and the angry group were forced to scamper for safety as police lobbed tear gas canisters to disperse them. According to Ruto Sub-County Commander Maina Kibathi, who spoke on phone, police are in pursuit of Pastor Peter K. Barangu. He said that no complaints had been registered at Ruto Police Station on the pastor's misconduct. As the scenes were witnessed at the church, the public has continued to agitate for justice for the victims.
Wale watu wawili, report moja iko Central Police Station Nakuru. Tafadhali mtusaidie kufind justice ya watoto wetu kwa sababu watoto wetu wanaumia sana na mahusbands wetu wanaumia sana.
Kama imepita miaka miwili na hakuna polisi amefuatilia, hakuna mtu yote amefuatilia, basi itabidi sisi wote tutoke nje ili tuweze kushinikiza serikali iweze kushughulikia majambo haya.
Ningependa kuambia makanisa, tafadhali mapasta wale wabaya, acheni kujificha kwa makanisa kwa sababu mnaharibia kanisa zingine zile mzuri.
Nancy Okware, Sunday Express.
Gender-based violence is a menace that even government has highlighted and called on all stakeholders to ensure that victims as well as survivors of gender-based violence get justice. But do they? That's the conversation tonight on Sunday Express, so do keep it right here. Now to church. President William Ruto has reprimanded the Nairobi County government and the Kenya Power Lighting Company management over a public spat on payment of pending bills that resulted in the county government dumping garbage at the electricity company's gate. The president, on Sunday, while attending service in Raisambu, Nairobi, revealed he had called both the county governor and the Kenya Power and Lighting boss and instructed them to settle the dispute amicably. This as Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja apologized over the incident. Our reporter Abdiaziz Hashim has the details.
The Monday scenes from outside Steamer Plaza in Nairobi County seems to have caught the eye of the head of state. President William Ruto on Sunday faulted both parties for the public spat, even as he revealed he intervened to end the standoff.
Juzi walifanya makosa. Nikampigia huyu gavana simu. Nikapigia wale wengine masimu. Nikamwambia sikizeni. Haya mambo mtakoma.
He further emphasized the need for unity and collaboration between the county government and other stakeholders to ensure the capital city's continued growth and prosperity.
Nairobi nilisema ndio capital city ya Kenya. Haiwezi kuwa mahali pachafu. Haiwezi kuwa mahali ambapo watoto hawasomi. We must give the true face of Kenya using Nairobi.
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, who was present at the church service, apologized over the incident.
Ni vile tu unajua wiki iliyopita walifanya makosa mahali. Si mnajua? Si mliona ile makosa walifanya? Na hiyo sio njia ambayo sisi tunakubaliana nayo. They did a big mistake. Mimi naomba msamaha kwa niaba yao. Mambo kama hayo haitarudia tena.
This coming barely 24 hours after officers from City Hall fumigated Steamer Plaza premises.
Jana tumeenda huko, tumewasafishia, tumeweka fumigation, hata maua tutawapandia ili uhusiane. Unajua kama tunakudai na unanidai, tunamaliza kwa meza, si ndio? Sio mbele ya wananchi. On that one, unajua mtu akifanya jambo ambalo ni kosa, ni mzuri aombe msamaha. Hata ingawa sio mimi nilikuwa naendesha hiyo lori ama nilikuwa hapo, lakini kama kiongozi wa Nairobi.
Meanwhile, President William Ruto has urged the clergy to provide solutions to the government as opposed to pointing an accusing finger.
How I wish other bishops and other churches could do what Jesus Winner is doing. Being part of the solution instead of festering the problems.
Further, the head of state defended his contribution to churches.
And I am unapologetic about giving to God. And I do it on the firm foundation of the scriptures.
Leaders accompanying the president urge him to continue working with ODM leader Raila Odinga to unify the country.
Na kwa sababu kuna watu walikuwa wametuwekea mitego mingi. Kwanza mimi, gazeti ya leo, wanasema huyu Ruto ni mjanja. Mimi nawaambia mimi si mjanja. Ni neema ya Mungu na kwa sababu namwamini Mungu.
Niwaombe sana wa Kenya kwamba ni vyema kulinda nchi yetu. Kwamba ni vyema tuipende nchi yetu ya Kenya.
Na watu wa Kenya, kwa sababu hatuna nchi ingine ya Kenya, nchi ni mmoja tu. Ningeomba vile bishop ametuomba, tuombee viongozi wetu.
The Commander-in-Chief also directed Labour Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua to pitch tent in Roysambu on Wednesday to register youth in the area to access job opportunities abroad. Abdiaziz Hashim for Sunday Express.
So while the president was in Nairobi attending church, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga says he is holding consultations with party members before he decides his next political move. Raila was speaking after a consultative meeting held at the governor's office in Mombasa County, where he was accompanied by Governor Abdul Swamad Nasir and Mombasa legislators. Raila outlined several irreducible minimums which he says must be met by government. Raila called for an end to abductions, torture, arbitrary arrest and killing of young people. He has also called for the compensation of families of those who lost their loved ones during the opposition and youth protests in 2023 and 2024 respectively.
Watu kutekwa nyara, vijana wanashikwa kihovyo, wanapelekwa vizuizini mahali ambayo julikani, wanateswa huko, wengine wanauawa. Hayo ni maneno ambayo hatutaki kuona katika taifa letu. Mpaka yale yakome kabisa. Hatutaki kuona kama yale yanafanyika katika taifa letu. Kwa hivyo tuko na mambo mengi ambayo tunataka kuona kama yameboreshwa. Na ndio sababu sisi tunashauri ili tukubaliane. Kama tukubaliana, kuna masharti ambayo sisi tutaweka ili tuendelee mbele. Sasa hawa wanachama wa chungwa wa hapa Mombasa wameamua wakanipatia mimi fursa niendelee na mambo ya kufanya consultation. Wameniunga mikono.
Chama kikiongozwa naye tazunguka kila pahali kuangalia na kuzungumza na wafuasi wetu na viongozi wa mashinani tuweze kujua ni yapi ambayo kwamba yatakaojiri kwenda mbele. Katika yale ambayo kwamba tuliweza kufanya, Mombasa ni katika kaunti za kwanza. Tumetoka katika mkutano wa viongozi wa chini na sauti ya Mombasa itachukuliwa iongezwe na sauti ya Kilifi, ichukuliwe na sauti ya Homa Bay, ichukuliwe na sauti hata delegates wa Nyeri na sehemu yote ya Kenya nzima, ili tuwe na msimamo mmoja na chama chetu kiwe ni chama ambacho kwamba tuna mwelekeo ya kuwa tumesikiza sauti za kila mmoja.
A section of the clergy are faulting politicians for engaging in what they say are early campaigns, citing the next poll is just about 2 years away. Speaking in Nairobi, Bishop Samuel Njiriri cautioned against constant political bickery, even as he called for patience among Kenyans for President William Ruto to fulfill his mandate. This is a section of Catholic bishops urged politicians to respect the independence of the judiciary. Joseph Wahungu with the details.
The men of the Cloth Sunday appeared to take issue with politicians whom they castigated for allegedly engaging in early campaigns, urging them instead to focus on service delivery. Speaking after presiding over Sunday service at Stewards Revival Ministry in Nairobi, Bishop Samuel Njiriri lamented the ongoing political bickering risks derailing the development of the nation. He lashed out at a section of the political class for being in constant campaign mode.
MCA unagojea rais akuje afanye kazi kwako kwa wodi yako. Wewe mbunge ulichaguliwa. Wewe umechaguliwa mbunge wa eneo lako. Lakini tunakuona ukisunguka Kenya mzima. Unaenda kufanya nini? Fanyia watu kazi ambao walikuchagua.
The bishop also cautioned Kenyans against constantly criticizing the government, even as he called on the president to address challenges in the health sector.
Nikisema vizuri ni ya kwamba hii serikali inafanya kazi. Lakini hatupati hii serikali nafasi.
And every day you complain of health, poor road. Maji imetoboka hapo kwa nyumba ni Ruto. Bibi yako ametoroka ni Ruto. I mean, you cannot continue this way.
Elsewhere, the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Kakamega, Joseph Obanyi, has warned politicians to cease constant attacks on the judiciary.
Sasa tukianza kuingiza siasa katika mahakama, Wakristo wapenzi, kila ambacho unaona DRC kinaelekea kuja hapa. Mahakama iwachwe ifanye kazi yao.
Speaking at a ceremony marking 25 years of priesthood for Father Vincent Sanga and Father Anthony Sikalata at Iregi Grounds in Nkolomani constituency, Bishop Obanyi further urged the National Assembly to amend SHA laws for patients to receive treatment at any hospital without restrictions.
Saa hizi inaweza kuambia ya kwamba katika hospitali zetu wana shida kubwa, hata kulipa mishahara hawawezi. Kwa sababu sasa hao wamepungua, kwa sababu wakija wanasema huwezi kulipa kwa SHA kwa sababu unatakiwa uende hiyo ya ilezi. Na haziko. Na matapeli wameingia. Wao wanatengeneza kliniki ndogo ndogo hapa kwa sababu ndio wanalipiwa nini hiyo SHA.
Joseph Wahungu for Sunday Express.
National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula on Sunday led a section of leaders in mourning former IBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati, praising him as a man of integrity who shaped Kenya's electoral process. However, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who was in Kitui, he faulted the executive for undermining religious institutions and mishandling key governance issues. Here's more on the developments in the political world.
Speaking at Chebukati's home in Trans Nzoia, Wetangula called for a dignified send-off, urging leaders to uphold integrity in public office as a way of honoring former electoral boss.
Chebukati amekuwa mzalendo halisi, amefanya kazi mzuri Kenya hii peke yake. Ndiye amekuwa chairman wa IBC, amesimamia 3 presidential elections, 2017, baadaye 2017 Oktoba, alafu 2022. Na hiyo kazi yake yote alifanya bila madoa.
Other leaders present echoed his sentiments, lauding Chebukati's commitment to electoral reforms.
Alikuwa mtu wa amani, respect to the whole nation. Tutakuwa na watu kutoka Uganda, tutakuwa na watu kutoka Sudan, sijui hata Tanzania wanaweza kuwa hapa. His Excellency President ako hapa. Alafu wewe utakuja na tatena mpango yako wakuheko, utajua hujui.
The Trans Nzoia County Commissioner who was present warned against any disruptions during the burial, cautioning that security agencies would not tolerate any incitement.
So siku hiyo wewe kucha kama wewe, ingia kwa mazishi na urudi nyumbani. Wacha tu niwaeleza kwa sababu we have entertained a lot of nonsense. Mpaka sasa tumeona kama tunakucha hapa, mkiona uniform ya askari mnaona kama ni nguo ya kwaya. So going forward, siku hiyo sisi tutafanya kazi na tunawauliza wananchi wenzangu, wacha tusaidie familia, tuwe na sherehe ambayo haina shida.
Vijana ukipatiwa kazi ya siku moja sema hapana, I need a permanent and pensionable job. Usipatiwe kazi ya siku moja. Imekuwa ni tabia mbaya sehemu hizi za kwetu. Juzi tuliona Mumias huko. Tumeona ingine hata hapa kwetu siku nyingine. We don't want those behaviors.
It is you. Yes.
We understand why we should not insult the police uniform, right? Now to some good news as we take our first breather here on Sunday Express is that the ladies have done us proud in as far as the 7-a-side is concerned. I'm talking about the Kenya Lionesses that have won the Challenge Trophy in South Africa after beating Argentina 17-12 in the final. They have won each of their single games played this weekend. More details will be coming up as we focus on sports. For now, that quick break.
Kupitia star 570 hash tunakupa nafasi ya kuchomoka na this beautiful Mazda Demio. Enjoy a beautiful clean semi-leather interior, low mileage, fuel-efficient 1300cc engine, great for personal use and business. Ukitaka kujishindia gari hii, kucheza ni rahisi sana. Chukua simu yako, bonyeza star 570 hash, chagua option 3. And for only 35 shillings, hii gari inaweza kuwa yako. Kumbuka kucheza mara kadhaa because the more you play, the higher chances of wewe kuwa mshindi.
Mungu ni mwema, asante Mungu. Ile nitakuwa naendesha hivi.
Dial star 570 hash and make this dream car yours.
Cheza Loto Moto.
Wellness is important in our daily lives so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have by regular checkup. People don't know they have hypertension. People don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Welcome back. This is Sunday Express. Now, education stakeholders are calling for the enactment of the right policies and continued investment in school feeding programs to cushion school-growing children from hunger. Now, the clarion call has been made as Africa commemorates a decade of school feeding efforts in the continent, even as various local humanitarian organizations in the country intensify efforts to ensure children remain nourished and ready to learn.
Amid the current prolonged drought in the country, learning institutions have felt the impact of reduced food stock, which has adversely affected the smooth learning in these institutions. However, various humanitarian foundations have initiated and adopted the school feeding program aimed at shielding the learners from hunger. For instance, in the beauteous Kisumu County, this facility can prepare at least 21,000 meals daily, ensuring no child in the region goes to school hungry.
Absenteeism has really gone down. The learners really benefit from this food. It's safe, it's nutritious, it comes when it's still hot, so they just eat free of charge. So I can say that it has as well benefited the community around the slum here, and the parents are very much happy.
The up-to-date kitchens, which are operated under the sponsorship of Food for Education, are transforming the delivery of school meals in the area, putting a smile on many children who would have instead gone to classrooms on an empty stomach.
Mtoto wangu nilikuwa nampatia kila siku shilingi 100. Hiyo ni nauli ya kwenda shule pamoja na chakula. But huu mradi ambapo ulipofika saa hii nikilipa 100 inachukua almost the whole week bila kutoa hata sendi hata moja.
This while utilizing clean and renewable energy to not only provide sustainable nutrition solutions, but also conserve the natural environment.
Our kitchen uses eco briquettes, which is comprised of compressed sawdust. It is very eco-friendly. The kitchen is very clean and smoke-free because it does not produce a lot of soot.
Even as such foundations arise to save the African child from the jaws of hunger, the buck now stops on the relevant key players, including the government, to ensure children in the country's hardest hit regions by drought can access food from the comfort of their classrooms.
Chakula kila siku ni shilingi 15 kwa kila mtoto. Mtoto anapewa saa, hiyo saa iko na microchip. Tunatumia system inaitwa near field communication NFC. Na tuko na gadget zenye tunatumia za kutap. Akienda hapo inaguzishwa hapo juu. Kama iko na pesa ina deduct, kama haina pesa inasema insufficient balance.
This has really helped because the enrollment has gone very high. Right now we've registered around 532 learners out of 600 who are now eating food for education.
John Kahiro, Sunday Express.
Now, the government has been challenged to equip children and the youth with diverse foreign languages amidst the recent launched Labour Export Initiative. According to Chris Mboro, the founder of the French village in Kiambu County, the move will help the youth in the country leverage on available opportunities on the global arena. The French village has transformed the once quiet Mitahato village in Githongori constituency into a center of linguistic exchange, catching the attention of both local and foreign French culture enthusiasts.
Nestled in the outskirts of Kiambu County, Mitahato village is slowly making history and a name for Kiambu County. Domiciled in this area is the French village, a name stemming from the gradual adoption of French as not only a language but also a way of life. Established in 2018, the French village has turned the Mitahato area into a hub of linguistic and cultural exchange, catching the attention of learning institutions and even foreign visitors who frequently visit the area to learn French through music, dance and interactive sessions.
Hata hapa Kenya watu wengi wanaongea Kiingereza. Sasa wewe kama wewe binafsi utakuwa na utofauti gani? How will you stand out? Unaona? Sasa kama unajua lugha nyingine kama mfano Kifaransa, Kichina, utakuwa na faida ukilinganishwa na watu wengine. Na kwenye soko la ajira ni kitu cha msingi sana. Kwa hiyo unaweza ukatafuta kazi kwenye mashirika ya kimataifa, lakini pia kwenye ukanda huu wa Afrika Mashariki.
And each of the visiting learners here lives with a tale, terming the experience as an eye-opener to the outside world.
We can be able to communicate with other people, and they can even help you to go in France, Rwanda, places like that one. Even you can work in different places, yes, and you can attract even tourists.
Chris Mburu, the brain behind the initiative, shares the motive behind the establishment of the French village.
I decided to start this initiative so that our kids can have a better future. Our kids can open up the frontiers of this village and succeed.
Despite the countless challenges, Mburu rides on the faith that the transformation will help children within the village and the neighborhood open up their chances on the global stage.
I want to make sure that they can expand their reach and their vision.
He has a clarion call to the government on equipping young Kenyans with diverse foreign languages amid the ongoing Labour Export Initiative.
In fact, when we talk about the job and employment situation, if you get another language, you become more employable.
Sasa naweza nikasema parlons français, tuzungumze Kifaransa. Apprenons le français, tusome Kifaransa.
In French we say vous êtes le bienvenu ici chez nous à Mitahato.
John Kahiro for Sunday Express.
Jean-Mapel, Regina, you're watching Sunday Express. Now, The Kenya Meteorological Department is warning farmers in some parts of the country to brace for the long rains season. Earlier than anticipated, the weatherman is attributing the start of early rains to an atmospheric event dubbed Madden-Julian oscillation phenomena. Further, the Meteorological Department is warning of warmer temperatures across the country during the rainy season and flash floods in poorly drained urban centers. Opicho Chemtai with the details of the weather advisory.
The month of March marks the start of the long rains season. The Kenya Meteorological Department is warning the rains could start earlier than anticipated in some parts of the country owing to the Madden-Julian oscillation. This weather phenomena takes place when a wave of clouds, rain and storms move around the earth near the equator and take about 30 to 60 days to complete one cycle of 8 phases. Its effect is usually felt at the beginning of the second phase of the oscillation, which is anticipated in the second week of March. This, according to the weatherman, will lead to an earlier onset of the long rain season in some parts of the country. In its weather outlook, the Meteorological Department is also calling on Kenyans to expect near to above average rainfall in the Lake Victoria Basin, the highlands west of the Rift Valley, the central and southern Rift Valley, the highlands east of the Rift Valley, including Nairobi County, the southeastern lowlands, and isolated areas of a northeast and northwest. Near to below average rainfall is expected over the coast and most of the northeast and northwestern regions. Additionally, the Meteorological Department has also warned of flash and riverine floods in poorly drained urban centers. Residents have been cautioned to avoid walking, driving, or cycling in moving water to avoid loss of life. Temperature is also expected to be warmer than average over the entire country, with higher probabilities over the northeast, northwest, and highlands east of the Rift Valley, including Nairobi County, and parts of the coast and southeastern lowlands. Opicho Chemtai for Sunday Express.
Now, after the number of tourists visiting Lake Baringo slumped due to banditry in 2022 and early 2023, the current picture is different 2 years later, and the future is looking up. All thanks to the Maliza Uhalifu, a multi-agency security operation in the North Rift spearheaded by the National Police Service, backed by the Kenya Defence Forces, among others. Our reporter Yusuf Farah visited Baringo and now brings us the state of tourism around Lake Baringo in this third and final part of securing the North Rift.
The 130 square kilometer Lake Baringo. With at least 7 islands, this spot offers a getaway from the hot temperatures of the county. Once on board this large water body with an elevation of 970 meters above sea level, locals and tourists alike can enjoy great views of the islands, bird watching and what the locals call friendly crocodiles. Business is slowly picking up but hasn't always been like this for many years. In the absence of peace thanks to banditry, these sailors and tour guides bore the brunt of financial loss in an unhealthy business environment.
Na sisi wengi wetu sana sana ukiangalia vile tumekuja hivi, shamba yetu kubwa sana ni hapa, kwa hiyo mambo hatu alisema hapa hivi. Lakini sasa wakati wageni wanasikia kuna mambo ya insecurity, tunakosa wageni kabisa. So inafika mahali hata wakati kuna wageni sana sana, unakuta ukifika kama mgeni unaona kama kuna kutoelewana, kwa sababu unaona kitu inapatikana pale ni kidogo na watu ni wengi sana, kila mtu anataka apate kidogo. Na wakati wageni wengi at least kila mtu anatosheka.
Concerning the presence of the Kenya Defence Forces under the National Police Service-led multi-agency operation, this is what they had to say.
Wow, that was the best gift tuliweza pata in the last 10 years. Kwa sababu tumeanza kuwa na utulivu. Wenye walikuwa wanajua hawezi kuja Baringo, wamejua the difference ya kuwa hiyo shida inatokea upande gani. So saizi kuna ile peace of mind, mtu akipanga kuja Baringo anajua kuna usalama, barabara ni nzuri. Unafika vizuri, unaweza fanya day package from Nakuru hata Nairobi, Baringo na urudi.
In comparison with the times when bandits wreaked havoc, their search for the daily bread is bearing fruit, returning home a happy folk. Leading the KDF team is Brigadier Stephen Hurrier, who says the multi-agency approach allows each unit to complement the other for maximum benefits as far as the operation is concerned.
People want peace, but there are few elements who still feel that they can disturb the peace that we are enjoying, and therefore I'm sending a strong message to them that they should not dare, and we request them to come on board, and we can assure them we are ready to receive them, we are ready to rehabilitate them. The government has very good plans to ensure that they have alternative means of living.
I can say we've silenced the guns, the area is relatively calm, and we have made substantial progress. In terms of recoveries, 90% of the animals stolen have been recovered, and we've recovered several assorted weapons and ammunitions.
Tuko na around 600 NPR within Baringo. Now talking of Baringo, the Baringo South, Baringo North, and the two theatres.
People have gone back to their farms, people have gone back to their places. Those who are displaced have gone back. The schools are on, they are going, and now even we have started a program of restocking, giving some animals through the Ministry of Livestock.
The operation has witnessed its fair share of challenges too.
And one of the areas that we found that the region is ranking behind is on education. And this was because, first, as you remember, most of the schools were destroyed.
And we would want to see schools which have been opened, both communities, having mixed schools from all communities so that it can create the issues of cohesion.
Back in the waters of Lake Baringo, business owners say the economic prospects are looking up. And with peace prevailing, this water body will soon be a game changer not only in the county but the region as well.
Baringo kwema kabisa. Tembea Baringo kama mpaka crocodiles ni friendly.
Lake Baringo is just one of the many tourism sites in this region that is slowly witnessing a steady growth in terms of tourism. The traders here and businessmen are hopeful that more people will visit and their profits will double in the future days. Isufar reporting for KBC Channel 1 from the Lake Baringo, Baringo County.
Inuka na Loto Moto sasa kwa star 570 hash option ya 4 kuna kashamba juja na nika 50 by 100 worth 1.7 million Kenyan shillings. Na hii si shamba tu, iko kwa prime location few minutes from Juja Town. Stima yako iko ndani, na kama ni development rapid and so promising. Na mambo ya landlord, mwisho wa mwanzo ni hapa. Ukishinda hili shamba tunakuongeza 1 million Kenyan shillings ujijengee nyumba yako kwa shamba yako. Kuinuka na Loto Moto ni kucheza sasa hivi kupitia star 570 hash option ya 4 au register deposit na ucheze sasa hivi kwa www.tushinde.com na ujishindie shamba hili na addition of 1 million Kenyan shillings. Inuka na Loto Moto.
Kazi gani tena unafanya huko juu sasa? Mimi nimeona itaoshwa, unaona mpaka angalia. Ni kodo point. Ni spider web.
Unajua ule mtu mimi naweza kupiga hata nduru.
Panga nduru.
275.
Toa hii 200.
Kwa nini nitoe 200?
Unabaki na 75 yenu. Nguruwe mkuki kwa utamu.
Jakisi.
Wamenivia. Wewe.
Unaniita wewe gwana abana chua jina yangu. Mugagani kwa gati.
Welcome back. As we promised you, we are having quite the informative session that begins right now. We're talking about gender-based violence and now tracking the criminal justice system. To take us through this conversation is none other than Marion Njoroge. He's a human rights activist and an executive director at MK Defenders. Thank you very much, ma'am, for making time. So this evening we just began our bulletin with quite a harrowing tale of a man who is alleging that he was sodomized by a man of the cloth. It's a developing story. Investigations are underway. That points to the fact that we're talking about the increased cases of gender-based violence. Why are we not having the perpetrators behind this heinous act behind bars, as we should?
Thank you for having me. Greetings from the great people of Kiambu County. And it's very devastating that the people we entrust with our lives are the same people who are perpetrators of such heinous act. I've been following that story of that man of cloth who allegedly sodomized a young man. I've listened to the young man, and the story leaves us with a lot of questions. And there could have been omission in whatever the process that took place. And I was asking myself, was there the preservation of the swabs? Was the perpetrator subjected to forensic DNA or something? If we have omission on that, I think the young man might never arrive to justice. However, he still needs to pursue justice. This is among 100 or let's say 1,000 of silent cases of men who goes through sodomy and they keep silent. I want to applaud that young man because of having the courage to speak in public about the ordeal, and I really, really sympathize with him. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So now we have looked at, what you have done is that you've shown that the questions that have come to mind is if there was evidence and was it preserved for it to be viable, to be a crucial lead in the arrest, in the investigation. That points out to the question is, how many of the general public know the process? Once the unfortunate happens, what should one do?
One thing that you should do as a survivor of gender-based violence, whether it's rape, it's sodomy, or whatever sort of violence it is, you should never take a shower. Run to a hospital that has facilities that can take swabs. So many hospitals have really let our victims down. I have hospitals somewhere, I don't want to mention because of the legality of the issue, where a rape victim appears, they just give them the PEPs, the normal PEPs, and they leave. No swabs, no DNA, nothing. And when the police are trying to put the perpetrator to the scene of crime, or trying to prosecute the perpetrator leaves, escapes justice because of the negligence of our hospitals. It is not for it is very simple for us to know that we need the swabs to be taken, but where are they been taken from? And this is the challenge that we also put in the criminal justice system. I've found policemen telling me, I've challenged them and tell them, why are you not taking a certain perpetrator to court? And they tell me, we cannot put the perpetrator to the scene of crime. Why? There's no DNA, there's no swabs, nothing forensic that can put the perpetrator at the center of this heinous act.
Mm-hmm. Now, Njoroge, under the new healthcare, take for care, has this been looked into, especially in public hospitals? Because if condoms are indeed free in circulation, I know we have a challenge where sanitary towels are not, but then when we're looking at addressing this issue, has it been, addressed under the new healthcare procedure? Would you be in the know of it?
It could be there in books, it could be there in writing, but kwa ground mambo ni different.
All right.
Not many hospitals, not many public hospitals are using the survivor centered approach. The survivor centers approach looks at the wish, the confidentiality, the respect, the non-discrimination of the survivors. And not many public hospitals, and especially in places like where I work from in Kiambu, not many hospitals are able to work on the survivors-based approach. And I think this is something that we also need to challenge as human rights defenders, because these cases are really increasing, and so many perpetrators are escaping justice. Because
so is it a lack of willingness or a lack of knowledge?
Lack of prioritization. Yeah,
so from lack of priority. It's not priority.
It is not a priority in so many of our hospitals. We have hospitals where the facelifting is very... There's a lot of facelifts, there's a lot of renovations in our hospitals, but how about the survivors' facilities? They are not there.
So what I'm hearing with you, from you, Njoroge, is that medical facilities are key in stemming gender-based violence because they're the custodians of this data.
Yes.
Is there any other way we can actually have it done, you know, in away from the hospitals? Or are they the only custodians that we can actually get this data from?
Our hospitals are a prop in the criminal justice system.
All right.
We can never have
we can never bypass them.
We can never bypass them. And that is the first stage in the criminal justice system. It is the doctor who examines the survivor. It's the doctor who treats, the doctor who takes the swabs and everything. It's the doctor who takes the DNA. So we can never bypass them. They are they should be very, very instrumental in the criminal justice system. Now, when I have had some challenges, and especially, and some complaints even coming from the police officers who are very passionate in fighting GBV, and they tell me, you know what, I really wanted to move forward with this case, but there was omission in the first stage. Your survivor, they call them my survivor. Yeah. Your survivor went to the hospital, nothing was done. They just did the anti-HIV thing, and the counseling, and the patient and the survivor left. And so moving forward to court, it becomes very difficult, even for the police or the prosecution, to prove the case beyond reasonable doubts. Yes.
The reasonable doubt comes into question. Then how are we addressing this in terms of creating awareness? Because what would you advise on that point? On that, how do we create awareness?
Personally, I've been doing a project in Kiambu County called Article 43. It's about teaching the members of the public on accessing sexual reproductive health rights in our hospitals, and I can tell we are really moving on well. Our women and girls are getting to learn the gains in the Constitution in terms of sexual reproductive health rights. We've worked with a hospital like Kihara. We've petitioned against some things that we thought they were bringing the omissions and everything. We've also had a case in Kiambu Hospital where a lady had a miscarriage. She went there, and she left there worse than she got into the hospital, and later on the case was referred to KNH. Yes. And so these are the things, even negligence with our medical personnel.
Negligence and omission is the main thing that I'm hearing.
Negligence and omission.
So how can we build capacity? Everyone is a potential. That's the truth.
Yes.
Everyone is a potential to gender-based violence. We need to accept that. Whoever we are, wherever we are potential victims. So today, Marion, how do we build capacity should the worst happen? Or even before it happens, how can we build capacity to ensure that we are safety, and if the worst happens, we can actually get justice?
First of all, this is a collective, we should have collective measures. As we said, first of all, from the hospitals, we need medical personnel who understands the survivor-based approach, not any medical personnel. And also, when you talk about the survivor-based approach, many survivors have walked away from our facilities because of the treatment around there. I've been to a hospital where I've taken a survivor, and she's put in a casualty where the next person is a man. The next bed is a man who maybe had an accident or whatever. She's been interviewed right where there is no privacy, and so many survivors have felt very discriminated. So the first capacity that we're supposed to build is to have the survivor-based approach, survivor-centered approach in order to tackle GBV. Non-discrimination is non-negotiable. When I get to a hospital, I need to be entitled to privacy. I don't need somebody to tell me, but why were you in the dark? Why you raped? Couldn't you fight that man? Yes, we have medical personnel who are that careless, and many survivors have shied away from seeking medical attention, which we said is a prop. My cry and my prayer is that we should have very, very, should I say, secretive or confidential spaces in our hospitals and in our police stations. I've been to police stations where it's only a car window where you are the OB.
I know, I've been at an OB. You actually state your name and what your issue is right there in the open. And that has not changed even with the reforms.
Yes.
So it has changed on paper because we just passed a few laws that have made, sexual violence, especially on minors, actually tighter. But the question is it trickling down to the user or mashinani? As you've said, ground is different.
Yes.
They're still reporting through that same window.
Yeah,
you've lost your phone.
Yes.
Through that same window at the reception at the OB.
Imagine you're a survivor and you go to a police station. I've taken survivor to police stations, and you are at the window. Where Sema? You find a very careless police officer, and you are like, where Sema?
So then, from where we sit, since you've said it's a collective approach, give us 3 points where that needs to have convergence.
We need to bring that. We need to bring that police officer on the table, that medical personnel on the table, and we also need to even the registrations. We need to bring them on the table. We need to bring these survivors on the table for us to understand the gaps. I could be a survivor. How was I treated? How did the criminal justice system treat me? It's a collective responsibility for everyone. We cannot talk about the hospitals without talking about the courts. We cannot have the courts without talking about the police officers. And mind you, let me tell you, one challenge that women and girls are facing right now is the P3 charges. I know we are going to come there.
Yes, let's get to the P3 charges as we are almost tying this up.
Yes.
Let's talk about the P3 charges.
In Kiambu County, there's a hospital that charged 2,000 and it's official. There's another one that charged 1,500. And let me tell you, not every other woman can afford this kind of money. For you to have a medical document filled by a doctor and stamped by the hospital, for it to go to court and prove that indeed there was a violation, you need to part with 2,000 Kenya shillings. And I have been to police stations where it is the police officers who are changaing because they want to move forward with the matter. I have got this information from many police officers who want to be discreet, and they're telling us.
So that those who have actually commercialized justice along the gender-based violence, value chain in the quest for justice. That's what you say.
Yes, and let me tell you, it's an illegality because there was a landmark ruling in a Nembu court. There was an organization that went to court and sought clarification whether people should pay for P3, and there was a landmark ruling that no person should be charged or should pay for a medical document like a P3. In fact, the underlying word was the P3. The question was the P3. And many county governments are still charging our women and girls.
Are these P3s available on our e-citizen platform?
What is that? It is not the paper. They're not charging the paper. The paper, you can access it anywhere. In fact, you get to a police station, they tell you...
it is the filling of the details.
The doctor filling and signing, certifying that indeed there was a violation, and stamping by the hospital.
You have to part with money.
You have to part with 2,000 Kenya shillings. I think we are on the climax. We as human rights defenders, we are on the climax right now. We cannot changa anymore for this kind of money. Okay. And the whole of next week, me and my team are sitting down. We are petitioning the county government and the Ministry of Health against the P3 charges because we cannot keep charging our women.
Now let me ask you, since you have worked with those who have gone through this horrendous, crime and they have survived. So if a person is lacking the requisite fee that is being, asked by this medical facility, what happens?
The case is dismissed. The case cannot proceed if you don't have the P3 signed by the medical personnel, because, as I say, the doctor who fills that form is a very, very important prop.
Yes, in this particular value chain.
And even for the prosecution to approve the charges against the perpetrator, there has to be a P3 form filled by a medical and certified. Yes.
So it seems this is a conversation that we clearly need to tackle going forward. Yeah. Maybe next time we're going to have one representing those who are there to serve and protect, and that is our security apparatus, including lawyers, so that we can look at this particular chain as we look for justice at a time when the numbers are escalating when it comes to matters of gender-based violence. My guest tonight has been none other than Marion Njoroge, who is a human rights activist and executive director at MK Defenders. We are not done. This is not a conversation that we're done. We are likely to be back to have, so that we can just tighten it up to know where we are and where we're going. Well, that puts a cap on matters this conversation. Thank you for those who have been online. Now I hand you over to my colleague, that is Okumu Bernard, who is coming up in not too long with what is happening in the sporting arena.
Jet A1, cheza aviator bila data, bila credo. Dial *892# for instant takeoff. Prepare bila pressure kucrash au kucash out. Aviator bila data, aviator bila credo. Uko na kabambe, wewe pia ni rubani mnoma. Dial *892#. Jet A1, michezobets.com. Cheza kwa kuwajibika. Kushiriki ni miaka 18 au zaidi. BCLB license number 0000664.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
And a great evening. Welcome to Channel 1 Sports. I'm Bernard Okumu. We begin with the great news from South Africa, where the national rugby sevens women's team, Kenya Lionesses, beat Argentina 17-12 to win the first round of the Sevens Challenger Series in South Africa. Now the Challenger Series, of course, is being played in South Africa and bring together all the teams from across the continent. Outstanding Grace Okulu scored the first try and successfully converted to hand Kenya a 7-0 lead after 3 minutes.
Now the Kenya Lionesses with a bit of possession in hand. Now they look to run. Grace Okolu. She finds Frisia Odo. Odo pinning her ears back. Well caught in the tackle by Fanene Lolo. Coming back the other way, using the full width of the field now. The Kenya Lionesses trying to go for that steal. Referee has an advantage out. Ball in play though. Keeping ball in hand. Now they look. They've got the numbers. They've got the overlap on the outside. Should they choose it? And they do. Naomi Amuguni, with just a few more meters to fight, and fight she did.
And of course, after that particular win, Kenya now will be hoping to continue with the impressive run in the second round of the Challenger Series, which will be held at the same venue at the Athlone Stadium in South Africa. Over to soccer now, where several Kenyan junior players have been identified for trials during the Kenya Academy of Sports camp held around the country. Now the list of the identified players is yet to be revealed due to the selection parameters that will be used to position the identified identified players. The players were identified by international scouts who visited the country during the camp, which saw more than 70 boys and girls display their footballing talents. Now, despite only a few players being selected, the scouts have acknowledged the talents on show, saying that Kenya was a unique country due to their education sports program that sees many sporting disciplines introduced in the school's curriculum.
The education part is vital. It really is. It's essential. And I think that's one of the things that's unique about Kenya is the way that they value education and the investment that they make in education for these students. And I think for us, that's what we tell some of our young men and young women when we're talking with them and try to expand on why education is important. Because when you choose to value your education, you're investing in yourself. All right? It's easy to try to invest in football or another activity. But again, that activity, you don't have a lot of control over it. It's basically a bit of a calculated risk. But anytime you basically choose education, there's no risk involved. You're always going to be growing, you're always going to be learning, you're always going to be improving yourself, and you're going to continue to open doors for yourself and those around you.
Elsewhere, Equity Bank upset reigning champions Kenya Prisons after registering a 3 straight set win during their Kenya Volleyball Federation Men's League match played today at Moi Kasarani Gymnasium here in Nairobi. Equity, currently ranked 4th, showed the intent to win the match from the onset and won the first set 25-19. Prisons, currently perched at the top of the standings, came fighting in the second set, but Equity prevailed 27-25. Equity assured themselves of the victory after winning the third set 25-20. The win keeps alive Equity Bank's hopes of finishing the season among the top 3 sides in the league ahead of the national playoffs in May.
Very excited because my players did their best. It was a tough match, but they came through. We were well prepared. So this is a game of volleyball. Everybody is equal to the task. So we came when we were prepared for a tough duel. We want to qualify first by performing well in the playoffs. That is completing the top 3. And then when we go for the club championships, we also want to be real contestants, not just participants.
Prisons, on the other hand, will be seeking to bounce back at the playoffs after the conclusion of the regular season.
We are still building up and trying to bond. Because ukiangalia game ya hii weekend tumecheza, lakini tumeweza kushinda hizo game zingine 3-0, lakini imefika leo tumepoteza 3-0 na bado tutarudi mazoezi tujaribu kutengeneza tuone ni wapi inaleta shida.
After 4 legs, the Prisons leads the 15-team table with 26 points, while KP and GSU are ranked 2nd and 3rd with 24 points and 20 points respectively. Meanwhile, Kenya Volleyball Federation is calling on the government to lower the cost of hiring the Kasarani Gymnasium, saying the current rates being charged are high for the clubs.
I would like to request the government to help us and give us the best rates this year as we go to the playoff. It is really expensive for us as Kenya Volleyball Federation, paying 60,000 to use this facility in one day. Minister of Sports, PS, please consider Kenya Volleyball Federation, give us to pay 20,000 for one day.
And to basketball and handball, where former champions National Cereals and Produce Board NCPB registered their 6th win of the season after defeating Amazon 38-9 during the Kenya Handball Federation Women's League match played at Kaloleni grounds. NCPB led 16-2 at halftime as Joanna Kinyi emerged the side's top scorer with 6 goals. Linda Musungu and Rehema Siko added 5 goals apiece to help their side to the dominant win. Amazon, ranked 6th in the league standings, got their goals through Rosa Tieno, Monica Chebel and Esther Ching, who scored 2 goals apiece. It was Amazon's 5th loss in 9 matches. Elsewhere, Eagles Basketball Club beat New Southside 764 baskets during their Kenya Basketball Federation Division 1 Men's League match played at Nyayo Gymnasium. Eagles won the first quarter 2014 as New Southside staged a comeback and clinched the second period 1919. But Eagles moved to put the game beyond New Southside's reach after bagging the third quarter 39. Despite winning the fourth period in 2019, it was too little too late for New Sasa as Eagles marched to the win.
Identify the key guards kutoka New Sasa, but after a while tukaweza identify the guards na tukalimit hiyo 3-point yao because it going to crash. So after that we were able to adjust and we got a pick up on the game.
They made a lot of 3-pointers. They were shooting well behind the 3-point line. And as a team, we will have to be more effective on our plays. and move the ball well as well for the next round when we see them.
And Tipowasunge Darlene and Mwema James were crowned the Kiambu Aquatics Level 2 Gala with exceptional performances on the last day of the swimming gala at Clergy School in Runda. The two-day tournament attracted more than 200 swimmers competing in more than 300 events over the 2 days.
The Kiambu Aquatics Level 2 Swimming Gala, which started yesterday, ended today at Clergy School, Runda, having attracted 19 teams from different schools, including Aga Khan Academy from Nairobi, Pioneer School from Moranga, and Reban Swimming Club. The gala saw over 200 swimmers competing in 812 entries. Tipowasunge Darlene from Genesis Swim Club won gold in the 50-meter butterfly, while Mwema James from Super Marlins won gold medals in the 200-meter individual medley and 50-meter butterfly events.
The competition wasn't as stiff as I expected it to be, which is one of the things I'm looking forward to in the next gala.
With more girls having competed in the event, Gladwin Karimi, who is in charge of the gender department at Kiambu Aquatics Association, urged the boys to come out in larger numbers at their next gala.
My encouragement to the coaches is to still continue encouraging the boy child. Despite the fact that most of the boys attend the soccer, we also need most of them in our swimming galas.
Coach Mohamed Ibrahim, who oversees Hydrofit Swim Club, says he has identified areas where his swimmers can improve. The next Kiambu Aquatics Gala will be held on the 22nd of March and will feature sprints and relays at the same venue.
Well, and on that, Regina Manyara, that swimming story is how we bring it an end to from the sports desk on the Sunday Express. Regina, you're talking about how girls run the world.
Yes, who runs the world? I mean, with the Lionesses outcome there, I mean, who runs the world? Okumu, Bernard.
I mean, it must be the Lionesses, right? Winning against South Africa in their home soil. Perfect win for Lionesses, for David Mwanja and the rest of the team as well.
Yeah, Bernard, you've just been very smart about it. But if you listen to Beyonce Knowles, you know, when you say who ran the world? Girls. On that note, we end Sunday Express. See you same time next Sunday. Be good, be safe, and productive. I'm Regina Manyara. My colleague on sign language has been none other than Byron Abuli.
Inua Jamii, karibu nawe kwa haraka na urahisi. Kwa sasa, malipo ya Inua Jamii yanapatikana moja kwa moja kupitia simu ya mkononi. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako kwa niaba ya Wizara ya Leba na Huduma za Jamii.